G'day there, guys. What's better than this? It's just guys being dudes. It's Markee, and welcome back to another episode of r/Am I the A-hole? Now, if you love today's content, tell me what you think of it down in the comments, smash that like button, chuck a prawn on the barbecue, and get ready for today's bloody good episode. Posted by user, A Vegan's Mum, titled, Am I the A-hole for forcing my vegan daughter to cook meat? My daughter, 16 female, has been vegan for about a year. Me, my husband, and her brother, 14 male, have tried to be as supportive as possible. We aren't a family that eats meat daily, so it wasn't that hard for me to accommodate her. When I do cook meat, I also do make something else for her and keep the side dishes common for all. She does have some separate dishes, but most are common, and I clean it if I have to cook for her. A few months into the vegan lifestyle, she tried to convince us to go vegan and would get increasingly angry when we said no. Me and my husband shut that behavior down hard and told her that she can follow whatever diet she wanted, but she cannot expect others to do so. She sulked for a while but stopped doing that. Last weekend, I cooked the family a big pot of chili, a small vegan one and a large beef one, so that I can refrigerate it and use it for the next week. Next day, I found the fridge empty of both the chili, and turns out my daughter decided that we are being too callous about meat. She felt the smell was too much when she opened the fridge door, and that she can't have anything from the fridge after that without gagging or puking. She told me that I need to throw out all the vegan food in the fridge and restock them. Me and my husband were livid. Wasting food is never okay with us, and that was a lot of food. I told her I am going to continue using the vegan products in the fridge, and she can either eat it or not, but I am not wasting food. That whole week she kept making faces at dinner while she ate. As a punishment, I gave her the recipe and told her she needs to buy them and cook it next weekend. She yelled and begged, but I stood firm. In the end, she did it. When the cooking was finished, I told her that wasting food is never okay in this house and pointed out that instead of X amount of meat being used, 2X amount of meat, since it seems to be confusing, I meant as in X amount in the pot she wasted plus X amount in the new one. I didn't purposefully make her put more than what was used previously. Was used because she threw the food away. Now she started crying and yelling at me about how awful and disgusting I was because I not only forced her to buy meat, which she is very much against, I also forced her to cook it, and now I am also telling her that it was her fault. She is really upset about this. So I am wondering if I went too far. Should I have picked a different punishment? My husband and brother definitely think that what I did was right, while my parents think I was in the wrong. I thought I will put it to a vote. Am I the a-hole? This is just another family fight. Everyone has done wrong in this situation, but if she doesn't want to cook with meat, she shouldn't be forced to cook with meat. If you guys don't want your food being thrown out of the fridge, she shouldn't be throwing your food out of the fridge. Everyone sucks here. This is a learning curve for the family. This is a learning curve for her, not to be forcing her diets and opinions on other people that will not change, I guess, in that sense. Everyone sucks here. Not the a-hole. My brother also tried to convince the rest of the family to go vegan. It ended up that he needs to cook his own food. We're not eating meat often, but all that stupid comments when someone cooked for you and you don't like it are annoying. Some people should just shut up. I know eating meat is not healthy, but also go vegan is not a super solution. After he stopped eating meat, he's always tired. He's not strong than before in sports, and I'm still eating meat 2 times a week, and I'm okay with that. Everyone sucks here. Making her cook it was too far. Pushing into sadistic zone for a vegan. You already reinforced your point by making her pay for it and telling her how it was all her fault. It was. But cooking it too? As a vegan, cooking animal flesh is repulsive, so I find that part very disturbing and unnecessary as an added punishment. Not the a-hole, your daughter was being a self-righteous brat and needed to be punished. She's old enough to know better. Posted by user ProfessionalDust91. Titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter to hide her period? The title sounds terrible, I know, but please hear me out. Background info. I, 45 female, was born in Mumbai and moved to the US for college, where I met my husband, 46 male. We currently have one daughter who is 12. My mother has moved in with us during the pandemic as she feels safer here. My mother is very old-fashioned and believes that a woman on her period is dirty and shouldn't be allowed to worship, handle food, or touch plants. I am very firmly against those beliefs and do all those things regardless of my period. My husband also doesn't believe in all of that. The problem starts here. My daughter started her period yesterday and told me. I luckily had her prepared with information, and I keep extra pads in the house for this reason. When my daughter came out of the bathroom, however, I told her to hide her period. This essentially meant that I wanted her to keep her pads in her room, wrap up any used ones very tightly, toss them into the trash discreetly, and take the bathroom trash out every day. I also wanted her to not talk about her period near her grandmother, as I know she would freak out and start forcing my daughter to conform to all her crazy old-fashioned demands, as she did to me when I was a girl. I have also been hiding evidence of my period while my mother has been staying with us. This made my daughter upset. I know this is partly because my husband and I have both taught her that there is nothing shameful about her body, and telling her to hide her period is going against that. But I don't want her to become a victim of my mother's constant spewing of nonsense. My daughter loves to help me cook, work in our garden with her dad, and she occasionally prays with my mother in the mornings. She doesn't need to be barred from that just because her body is functioning correctly. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for telling my daughter to hide her period? Edit, a lot of people are getting mad, so let me try to clear things up. 1. My daughter does know why she has to hide her period from her grandmother. I've explained my childhood experiences to her, and she's witnessed how unreasonable my mother can get over small things and has seen her fits. I don't think she enjoys them. 2. We did not move my mother in on purpose. My brother, who lives in India, forced us to take her in, probably because he's tired of her, claiming that the US healthcare system is better than India's. He literally put her on a flight to New York, called us at the last minute, and said that we were supposed to take care of her now. If we flew her back to India, all hell would break loose, and the one person I hate dealing with more than my mother is my brother. And with lockdown restrictions in place, there's no way we could send her back. 3. My daughter can still talk to us about her period. She needs more pads or wants to try something different, we'll take her to the store. If she's having cramps or aches, we'll get her some medicine and give her a hot water bottle. She can still cook, eat, pray, and garden, do whatever she wants. I just don't want her announcing her period at the dinner table or in the proximity of her grandmother. 4. My mother is one of those people you just can't argue with. I've tried it all the time. She believes that she can do no wrong. No matter what I tell her about respecting the rules of my house, she will not listen. She has the Indian mentality of, the elder is always right. Edit number 2, I'll clear more stuff up. 1. If my mother were to find out about my daughter's period, or my daughter was to accidentally talk about it near her, I would definitely support her and back her up. That would be a hill I'd die on. It's much easier when my mother doesn't know, because this pandemic already has me stressed, and I don't need another stress source in my life. I don't need to argue with her right now, and that's better for the entire family. 2. My daughter can talk about her period with whoever she wants. My in-laws, other family members, excluding my brother, he'd snitch to my mum, her friends, etc. I have no need to control that, as the other people in our lives share our views. OP, you can blabber as much as you want about, how you justify this to yourself. Me personally, I think you're an a-hole for controlling your daughter as much as your mum was controlling you back in the day. This is your house, your rules. You can lay down the ground rules with your mother. She has no control over you anymore. And you don't even want to be living with her. Why would you even listen to her if that's the case? It doesn't matter the culture you're from. She has no power here. You have the power to shut her down and let your daughter live the free life she wants. Controlling your daughter, just as you were controlled, is no way to continue this. Let your daughter talk about it all she wants. Shut your mum down when your mum has a problem with it. It is that simple. You're the a-hole. Gentle, you're the a-hole. Your intentions were good, but you need to be setting boundaries with your mother, not teaching your daughter to be ashamed of herself. This. I know sometimes standing up to parents is hard, but the boundaries should be set for your mum, especially if it's in your home. 12 is a rough age enough without adding the Twilight Zone style time we're living in for school due to the pandemic and everything else. Let me just mention here that I sympathize with OP. Most people in India have the mentality of always respect your elders no matter what. You can argue all you want, but people like OP's mother just won't budge, and as much as I dislike this, usually there's no concept of boundaries in most Indian families. And their favorite argument is, we raised you all right, so we know more about parenting. At the same time, I'd like to acknowledge that it's incredibly difficult to censor what you're saying in your own home, especially for the wrong reasons. Even after years of having my period, I crib about it and literally can't go through one without complaining, why do we have to deal with this? I think all women should have a right to do this. But either way, it's a no-win situation for OP, because her mother is always going to make comments that will make her daughter upset. I know people will suggest OP take a hard stance on this, but culturally, most Indian children at least know that they are expected to take care of their aging parents. I know people, at least on this sub, I don't know if you have no responsibility towards your parents. Is it just like what the majority of people on this sub think, or in actual, have different views? But there isn't much you can do about it, and honestly, to an extent, even I think that you have some responsibility towards your parents. T's and C's apply, obviously. So what OP is doing is actually the only way to go about it without causing a conflict, i.e., not letting the mother know when her daughter has her period. But even then, it's not a long-term approach. She's going to wonder why her granddaughter hasn't had her period, and sometime she'll notice. The only viable solution here is to take a hard stance on this and not allow her daughter to be ill-treated, because some people only change when they're forced to. Posted by user StardustGur, titled, Am I the a-hole for teaching my 11-year-old niece inappropriate skills? My 32 male, brother 30 male, and his wife 30 female like to go on trips, and they repeatedly bring their daughter 11 female to me to babysit. They usually give me no or at most 1 day of warning. So the last time they did that, as a little bit of a thank you for doing this, I bought a lock-picking set and practice locks and proceeded to spend the week teaching her how to pick locks. It is amazing how interested kids get when you teach them skills like that. Well, she got really good at it, and at the end of the week, I send her home with her brand new pick set in her pocket. Her mother noticed reasonably fast what happened, because they always lock the candy in a kitchen cupboard, and it was suddenly all gone. Now they are really angry with me. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for doing this? I don't think so. I mean, I can see why the parents would think you're an a-hole for doing it, but they're a-holes for continuously dropping the kids off to you without any warning. Who does that? That's genuinely not proper parenting. That's not proper anything. You're just abandoning your kids with someone. So if the kids learn to pickpocket, they learn to pick lock, that's your fault for dropping the kids off all the time and not paying, not saying thank you, just, here you go, bye, your problem now. Not the a-hole. Edit. For everyone wondering, no, she did not get punished, since the parents learned I taught it to her, except for having currently no candy since she ate it all. Edit 2. After reading many of the responses here, I have to agree with some of the points that the everyone sucks here and you're the a-hole posters made. I will not stop teaching her things like that, but will change how I go about it. Next, I will teach her how to drive a John Deere on a friend's farm, But I will A. have a talk about appropriate times and places before teaching her, and B. give her parents appropriate notice. Not the a-hole. Less than 24-hour warning for a multiple-day trip? No. Start finding other inappropriate skills to teach your niece. Sleight of hand? Forgery? How to hotwire a car? How to drive a manual transmission car? Drum lessons even? I was thinking blackjack card counting, but thanks for the ideas. The teaching here to drive a car at 11 seems like a fun idea. Critical thinking. Teach them to pick apart their parents' arguments. Also, it's the most crucial life skill anyone could possibly learn, so there's that too. It's also absolutely lost on modern political discourse, but for real, it's useful. You mean political discourse is more about owning some poor college kid and talking fast so you drown out the opposition? Ha! Now that's epic, Ben Shapiro. Not the a-hole. You, sir, are a hero. Your brother and his wife suck. You can't just take off for a week on one-day notice like that. Yeah, you're straight up the definition of a cool uncle. Not the a-hole. Could you teach me? I want to be this aunt. You're an inspiration to kids everywhere. Please continue doing what you're doing. Oh my god, this is amazing. If you want to learn, just buy your own pick sets, and what I found really helpful are videos of the lock-picking layer on YouTube because he explains his process well and also disassembles locks to show the inner workings. Lock-picking lawyer, not lock-picking layer, sorry. Posted by user Sync Manting. Titled, Am I the a-hole for not allowing my eldest daughter, 24 female, to come stay with me in my new big house after she was kicked out by her boyfriend? Well, my ex-wife and I divorced 8 years ago. She had an affair and left me for the AP. I know I was a crappy husband back then. I was an alcoholic and I was verbally abusive. And 2 years before we ended our marriage, I had stopped drinking, I picked up my crap and tried doing my duties as a husband, and started going to MC. But it was all for nothing. My eldest daughter, however, still chose her mother over me, even with after the betrayal. The other 2 daughters didn't pick any side and maintained a healthy relationship between us. The divorce, of course, was nasty. She got the primary custody of the kids, got to keep the house, and I had to pay child support, but no alimony was awarded. A few months later, I lost my job. I was unable to pay child support, and I was constantly arrested and put in jail for about 3.5 years. And my daughter, together with my ex-wife, liked to watch me suffer. A year ago, my parents died, and since I was their only child, I inherited their wealth, although not much, but still enough. A few months ago, I got a new house, and my youngest daughter, who is 18, has been staying with me. Their mother moved into another country with the AP. My eldest daughter broke up with her boyfriend, and she was kicked out of their apartment that they shared. She asked if she could stay in my house, and I refused and told her to call her mother to come get her. Lol. Later, my ex-wife calls me saying that I'm the a-hole for not allowing my daughter to stay with me, and that it's unfair because her sister is staying in my house. I have to admit, I do feel guilty, but she's also an adult, she can sort her crap out. But am I the a-hole here? My daughter is introverted and suffers from anxiety. Edit, I tried for years to have a normal relationship with my daughter. Even tried to ask her sisters to have a normal healthy relationship, but just like her mother, she treated me like crap throughout the years. Even refused to come visit me when it was my turn to have the kids. I think both of you guys have done lots of wrong in this relationship, although you've done so much worse. Being an alcoholic and verbally abusive for such a long marriage it seems that you had, does really not shine brightly on you, and it looks like you relapsed after the divorce as well, and went to jail for 3.5 years. I genuinely can't blame them for being mad at you that entire time, because you just destroyed your relationship with them, pretty much. And now you don't want to rekindle that relationship with your oldest daughter, because you believe that when she was younger and going through all this, that it's okay to completely burn that bridge and never see her again by the looks of your actions. You are being petty, their mum has moved to another country, this older daughter needs you, especially in a time like now. You're the a-hole for not letting her live with you. You're the a-hole. You were abusive during your daughter's formative years. Her choosing her mum over you is the consequence of your decisions. Ding ding ding. Abusive and bitter, considering he claims his daughter enjoyed seeing him suffer. He also says, told her to call her mother to come get her, lol. That self-righteous gotcha of a laugh? That's the you're the a-hole coming out in you, dude. You're the a-hole and you know it. Don't underestimate how traumatic your alcoholism and verbal abuse was for your daughter. She was 14 when you stopped drinking. Of course she has sided with her mother after seeing what you put her through. You should be ashamed of yourself for your behavior when she was a child and trying to make amends however you can, not rejoicing in her misfortune and in your ability to deny her the help that she has asked of you. This is your chance to show your daughter that you've changed for the better and to prove that you could be a loving, supportive father. You threw it away out of spite. Posted by user CraftyGirl969, titled, Am I the a-hole for taking my craft bag back after I was fired? I was recently fired from my live-in nanny job after a week, being told that they decided a live-in nanny just wasn't for them. They said it was nothing personal, it was all them, and they gave me 2 hours to clean out my things. Before I started this job, I created a huge art kit for the kids with my own money. I'd bought paints, paper, crayons, and coloring books. The kids and I used some of it, but I had more plans for the coming weeks. I decided to take the stuff we hadn't used for a future job. I left behind the colored-in coloring books and used paints, but took the unopened things and the reusable tote I put them in. As I was leaving, the dad saw this and said the kids would be sad if I took that. I said it was property to use with the kids that I paid for. Later, when I was at my parents' and looking for a new job, the mum texted and said that was a shady thing to do. I didn't respond. My parents are torn. My mum says I was in the right, my dad says I should have left it. Am I the a-hole? Edit to add, yes, they should have given me more notice. They didn't, they gave me severance instead, which was an option in my contract. I was dumb and didn't know my rights. I do now. Yeah, no, they gave you 2 hours to leave and they expect you to keep the stuff that you paid for in their house? Just because it keeps the kids happy doesn't mean that you shouldn't be allowed to take it with you. And I don't think it makes you an a-hole just because it upsets their kids a little bit. Aren't they the parents? Aren't they the ones that are supposed to be making their kids happy? They've removed the live-in nanny, and they've also removed the coloring sets that the kids were probably looking forward to. That's not your fault, OP. You've got a life to live, and you've got other people to care for. So, not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. They fired you. That's a low blow on the dad's part to bring the kids into. An a-hole thing to do. And he wanted it so bad, he should have asked how much you paid and given it to you in cash, like, not the a-hole. This. If you want to, calculate how much is spent on everything in that bag and what was already used, and for the bag itself. Then offer it to them for 2 to 3 times the amount you paid. Not the a-hole, and your father sucks for not seeing this. Exactly. It's no more your job to provide things for these kids as it is for school teachers to stock their schoolrooms. If the parents wanted it, they could have offered to pay for it themselves. Not the a-hole. I guess you don't live in the US, huh? Most US teachers routinely spend their own money for supplies. In fact, we get a $250 allowance on our taxes because even the government knows that we have to provide our own stuff. Every other professional steals office supplies to bring home, but we steal stuff from home to bring into school. Not the a-hole. They fired you and gave you 2 hours notice to pack up and move? And then they got mad you took your art supplies with you. WTF? No. No, you are not the a-hole here at all. Yeah, I got up that morning, started working, and was then sat down after breakfast. Really out of the blue. Anybody who can afford a live-in nanny can afford new crafts, not the a-hole. Okay, and I think that's where we're going to end today's episode, guys. As always, I do hope you enjoyed it and maybe even learned something from these stories. Just want to say a quick shout out to my Patreon subscribers and my channel members. You guys should be on the screen right now. If you do see yourself, I want you to give yourself a little pat on the back for being amazing and supporting me on this channel, this little journey we're going on the YouTubes. I really appreciate it, and you guys enabled me to do all this amazing work. So if you do see yourself, I love your face and I'm happy to see you. Also guys, if you want to pitch in your own support, you don't have to, but channel links are down in the description below to support the Patreon, the channel membership, whatever you want to do. It's kind of like tipping me if you feel like I'm doing a good job on this channel. I will be opening up avenues for content on those in the future. Just right now I'm kind of bogged down and stuck in Ireland, but you know, it is what it is. Anyway, guys, with that said, I do hope you have a wonderful day today. Whatever you're up to, I'd love to know down in the comments below. I do hope you have a good day, night, sleep. Whatever you're up to today, tell me, and I'll see you in the next episode, guys. Bye.